nerds, welcome back to the Pretty Brown and Nerdy channel. I'm Jasmine, here with a review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Brooklyn teen Miles Morales develops powers after being bitten by a radioactive spider that turns him into the Spider-Man. Upon meeting Peter Parker, he soon realizes that there are many others who share his superhuman spider abilities. He must use his newfound skills to battle the evil Kingpin, who can open portals to other universes with the use of a structure known as the Collider. First off, I will say hands down, I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. This is definitely one of the top films of the year for me, and it's also one of the best animated films that I've ever watched, to be completely honest with you. The animation style is solid, the visuals, the action. It's just so refreshing to walk out of a comic book film and just have like thoroughly enjoyed it. I honestly have nothing really that I would nitpick about this movie that I disliked. First, I'll just talk about the different versions of the spider superheroes that we come across in this movie, starting with Miles Morales. Miles Morales, this is just honestly a solid way to do an origin story, and it really sets the standard for origin stories for me. Miles is just a teenager who's essentially just been like thrown into this world of becoming Spider-Man and essentially doesn't really know what he's gotten himself into. All he knows is that he's made a promise to the Peter Parker in his universe who's passed on that he's gonna defeat Kingpin and take on the mantle and fulfill this oath that he's taken. Whereas you have Peter B. Parker, who comes from one of the other universes, who's just essentially forgotten how to be Spider-Man and has to teach Miles what being Spider-Man is all about. And somewhere along the way, the two build just an unbreakable bond and friendship. And essentially Miles reminds Peter B. Parker of what being Spider-Man is all about. Miles is just such a lovable character, and you immediately fall in love with him at the start of the movie. I mean, tell me that Miles humming and just essentially singing song lyrics to a new song completely wrong isn't something that we can all relate to. He's essentially a kid that wants to take a different path in life, and then you have his father, Jefferson, who is a police officer and understands the structure of order, played by Brian Henry Tyler, who honestly did such an amazing job as Jefferson Davis. Like, this man is on the rise to stardom in film, and it is such a joy to see him, you know, go from Atlanta to all these other movies that he's in now. And then you have Miles's uncle, played by Mahershala Ali, and kind of shows him that it's okay to be stuck in between essentially like these two worlds that he's a part of, but they shape who he is as a person. Can we just say, like, kudos to them for this cast though. They do a great job of showing the heart of New York and Brooklyn, and they do a good job of staying true to whom Miles Morales is as an Afro-Latino. From the beginning, you see him on the street with his friends going between Spanish and English, and just to show like the heart of his family dynamic, and that does wonders for me, because you can have all this action and everything in the movie, but for me, what's really gonna like make me feel something for characters is just the relationships that they have built between one another, and the character dynamics, and just like essentially do they make you feel something to bring it all together. Definitely the spiders that are the shining stars in this movie are Miles, Peter B. Parker, and Spider-Gwen. They do a good job of setting up the other characters, and what I really love about it is when they go through each character's origin, they mainly focus on the characters that have the most presence, and then the other origin stories with, you have Spider-Noir, Spider-Ham, and Penny Parker, they just kind of, you know, do like a little humor spiel, and they just wrap up their origin super quick because it's just as a means to progress through the story, but it doesn't necessarily hinder the story in any way. It still allows everything to flow seamlessly. So the way that they narrate and they tell you what you need to know, but they don't linger on it for too long, but they still make sure that you get all the points with every character. And just to see like how they're animated through the different universes was just hilarious. Like Nicolas Cage, man, he's just had like a crazy comeback. I honestly, out of all like the spiders, I really enjoyed Spider Noir and Penny B. Parker. I just thought they were really cute and very humorous, and just to see like Nicolas Cage come back and shine from being in like, you know, Mandy to coming and being in Into the Spider-Verse, and just adding just such charm and like charisma to the character of Spider Noir was really just refreshing for me. Solid cast. I just really love how essentially, you know, even though the spiders come from different universes, they all find something that they can relate to, and that is essentially like the mantle that they've taken on of being, you know, Spider-Man and being a hero, and that job has come with sacrifices, and the fact that they aren't always able to save everyone, and that is what brings the team together from an emotional standpoint. The animation, let me just tell you, if you still haven't seen this movie and you're going to watch it, the best way to get the best experience in watching this movie is to watch it in IMAX. The animation is just so solid, and it's just so weird to me because how did we get Venom and then Into the Spider-Verse from the same company in the same year? Like, how did they go from like two extremely different dynamics? I feel like they just like were like, okay, everybody come work on Into the Spider-Verse, and we're not really gonna worry about Venom because we're pretty sure it's gonna do good, right? I know for some the animation was a little wonky from the trailers and weren't really sure how it would work out, but honestly, you don't really notice, you know, the little issues that come with the animation when like the frames seem a bit choppy. You don't really notice those things while you're watching the movie because you're so engaged in the story. The animation had so much personality. When you see like when characters are getting punched or smashed, they would even add like the little comic onomatopoeias all over the place, or just, you know, like have little images from the comics integrated into the movie. So the way that the animation mixed together was just so nicely done, and it just made it fun. The villains are really solid in this movie. I love the portrayal of Kingpin in this movie. They kind of give him like a really comic sort of feature with you know, like his huge body and just like kind of small head. The way that they characterize him is just like interesting, but it works at the same time. And he's just like the same menacing Kingpin that we all know from, you know, the comics and from what we've seen in Daredevil. And the villains that they set up, just having a bit of the Sinister Six in there, it was really cool how they put that all together and just gave them like so much life and personality in their character design. There's a lot of emotional scenes in this movie that will grab you, because I'm not even gonna lie, I had a couple of times when your girl was crying up in the theater, like tears just straight streaming down my face. The multiple times that I've watched this movie, it just really grabs you and takes you in emotionally, from, you know, the different things that occur within the movie. Miles' family dynamic will just really take you in emotionally, and just the scene when he becomes Spider-Man, just wow, an amazing, truly iconic scene that I will remember forever. Into the Spider-Verse was a really solid way to introduce Miles Morales on the big screen. We've, you know, seen hints of him in the new Spider-Man game, and, you know, hints toward him in Spider-Man Homecoming, but this was just a solid way to introduce Miles to people who might not know him as a character or necessarily what he's about or who he is. It was just a really good way to bring him in and just it opens the door for so many new possibilities with Miles as a character in further movies. I know they already plan on doing some sequels for the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Hopefully we can even see him in a live action Spider-Man film in the future. Who knows? But honestly, this movie is a solid 10. There are some little nitpicky things, but honestly, it doesn't really like affect the movie entirely and doesn't really do damage to the story. So it's something that you can really just like gloss over. And the soundtrack is just fire, guys. Like, if you have not heard the soundtrack, I've had it on endlessly since I've watched this movie, and I still play the Black Panther soundtrack endlessly. Can you believe that we got Black Panther and Miles Morales in the same year. Like, wow. But I want to know what you guys thought. Did you love Into the Spider-Verse? What was your favorite things about the movie? Let me know in the comments below. And also make sure that you are following our pages. All our social links will be in the description below. And with that said, I hope you guys have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and we will see you guys on the next video.